There's a quick shifter symbol over there, so if it is white color, that means you can shift it up and down. It is there. Down, I don't face much of a problem. So again, I have good news and bad news. The good news is, again, you are actually going to be one of the fastest in your city, and the bad news is, what's up YouTube, welcome back to a new video, and today we have the Tuono 457, the brand new Tuono 457. So yes, been riding this motorcycle for the past few days, and before that as well I was riding it, and yeah, one of my friend is actually kind enough to give this motorcycle for a long-term review from my side. So let's make this thing clear that this is going to be a detailed review, and I have two disclaimers in this video. So the second disclaimer is obviously about the speed which I do in this, which will be shown in the later part of the video. And now the first disclaimer is that this is not a fan-based video. It's going to be brutally honest. So if you have already bought this motorcycle, or if you are a Aprilia fanboy, this is not for you. If you have already bought the motorcycle, you got a good unit, you just live with it. If you don't have an issue, it's okay, just enjoy your ride. If you are actually looking forward to buy a two-cylinder really powerful motorcycle and confused between the Duke and the MT and the Tuono 457, and if you are open-minded, just watch the video. This video is for you. So let's get into the video, the technical parts of the video. Before that, let's look at this Italian beauty. Even though it is made in India, this has been completely looking like an Italian motorcycle, a completely Italian design. The only one thing which I see with the motorcycle is that I wish if this Tuono also get that bigger headlight of what the Tuono 660 and the V4 and all those bigger brothers get. So this headlight actually, in my eyes, I'll say that it looks smaller. Some people likes it, but in my eyes, I'll say that it could have been better if they have given the bigger headlight. This looks like a B head and all, but still, nevertheless, it looks fantastic from this front side. The headlight performance is not so good. I don't really expect anything out of it. And we get the USD Fox in the front, really nice. The suspension setup is basically to a harder side. We'll talk about it when we go for the ride. And this one is not actually stock tire. Stock tire is actually Eurogrip, which seems like not really good for this motorcycle as per the owner. So this has been switched to the Michelin Power 6, and we get a single disc brake in the front. And this is a 457, the very famous 457 engine from the Aprilia. Really nice to hear, got a lot of power and torque. The MT actually tags go for this one because it's a torque monster, and Tuono written over there, and the Aprilia big tank. And nevertheless, this is a small motorcycle. Mind you, it's a big motorcycle. Maybe in the photos you might think that it's a smaller one, but definitely a bigger motorcycle. And this is the exposed frame, what you see, the aluminum frame, and a beautiful looking swing arm. The seat is actually a bit more wider and a little more comfortable than the RS variant of it, the RS 457. And don't think that this is going to be a very comfortable straight upright riding motorcycle, because you know it's not going to be a completely upright riding motorcycle just like the Tuono 660 or the V4, because you know you'll be having a little bit of sportiness. It's just that it's not as sporty as an RS. And yes, of course, you get decent rear seat with a big pillion grab rails. So I think this is aftermarket. So yeah, obviously it's a good nice touch that if you want to have a pillion with you. And the back section, the rear section also looks good. That 457 written over there. Sometimes I feel that the tail section, the tail light of this motorcycle looks like the Myntra logo, especially when you are actually riding and you get to see that M from a distance. I get a feel like that. I don't know whether you are also feeling that. Yeah, let's look a bit closer onto the motorcycle. Before that, after the styling, I'll say that let's look at the quality. There are certain bits of pieces on this motorcycle which doesn't tally up with the Aprilia tag, because you know there are a bit of plastic issues and all. Couple of things are like exposed wires here and there, and that is very scary, especially if you have to give the motorcycle for a pressure wash. Even the owner of the motorcycle also said that you have to be a little careful when you give it for the washing. And a plastic kind of a thing which has been stuck onto the engine, I know why. And surprisingly, the coolant is kept next to the engine. I know why. Maybe I'm a little confused, because when you're running inside city and the engine heats up, that is going to pump a lot of heat into the coolant. I know why. And this particular switch, actually it's getting stuck all the time. So switch gears and all those things are not so great. It's not in terms of Aprilia. And also obviously this particular unit, it really feels like it is out of the place. in this motorcycle, because rest of all of the alloys and everything looks decent, and this one looks like an aftermarket thing. So let's get on the motorcycle. So yeah, actually the cost cutting start from the key. I was very, very, very surprised to see the key of the motorcycle. I'm like, what the hell, man? What the hell has Aprilia done? So, what is this? What is this, man? 5 lakh motorcycle, and this looks like a wardrobe key, man. I'm not too much onto this key engineering, but I can tell you one thing, that if this is the depth of the key, most probably somebody can break into this motorcycle, right? They can actually forcefully rotate the handlebar, because the leverage of the handle is really good. So yeah, just sitting from this angle, it feels so nice, because the Aprilia tag, and that's why which I told, it doesn't feels like it's a 400cc. It definitely feels like a middleweight 600 to 700cc Aprilia written over here. You really, really, really like it. And the other fact is, you have a very wide handlebar. It gives a lot of comfort to hold on and to maneuver. And another thing is, like, look at this, man. If you see that, you can see a little bit of wires over there. These things are actually scary. Pressure wash, or if you have to go to seaside, you have more saltier water, so you have to be very careful with that. So turning the key on, you have a very good looking dash. I really love it, and it's seamless, no software glitches, nothing. And to walk you through the switches, actually here we have the high beam, low beam, and the pass switch. So if I use the pass switch, it is like stuck. Then it goes to the high beam, and I have to, you see that now it is stuck. Now I have to tick and take it out. And this is a navigation switch. So you press here, you'll able to see a lot of things. Really a good loaded dash, and you can change the traction control settings. Yeah, it's the traction control settings being. So let me put it to traction control 1. So there is traction control settings, and you can turn off the rear wheel ABS. Riding modes you can change. So you press this button, there are like eco, rain, and sport. Yeah, so 3 riding modes. So I'll be always riding in the sport mode. And yeah, this is my normal riding stance. You can see that, right? You put a lean to the front, and you have a little more sportier riding stance. It gets adjustable suspension in the front, and the preload adjustable in the rear. And now let's hear it. Sweet sounding motorcycle, really sounding really nice. Now it's the time for the highway run. Let's do it. By the way, it gets a quick shifter, but I don't really want to use it in the first 3 gears, because it has a lot of like that jolt feel. It is actually making the motorcycle a bit jumpy. Okay, let's do it. Quite fast motorcycle. So the engine feedback is a little different from the RS457, which I've ridden almost a year back. So this motorcycle is actually tuned for better torque. So it has a different sprocketing compared to the Aprilia RS457, the sports variant of this motorcycle. The fun fact is, you open the throttle, it starts rolling very easily, and you don't really have to use a lot of clutch when you're riding in slow speeds also. So the engine feedback is really good. Got a really good torque out of it. Out of the bat, you can actually start rolling, and you never want to use the clutch much. And the sweet spot of the motorcycle is from the 4000 to 6000, where it is like completely refined and it moves smoothly. But after that, it actually shows a lot of vibrations. The power band is, I feel it's around 6000 to 7000 k RPM, and afterwards it's like goes a little down. But that initial torque and the initial power is there always. It is 100% one of the fastest in the segment. Maybe it can give a competition to the elder brothers and the 500s and the 600cc. But the refinement problem is there when you are actually revving it out, especially when you go to that close to 9000, 10,000 RPM. It vibrates shit on the foot peg, on the handlebar, and a little bit on the seat. that actually raised a couple of concerns, because if that engine is too much vibrating and giving too much of vibration to the rider, yeah, on a long run it is not a really great motorcycle for touring. But let's come back to that point again a little later. You see that quick shifter actually jumps a lot in the first 3 gears, especially the first second. The shifter jumps a lot, so I don't want to use it. But if there is a certain amount of RPM, then it works good. It's not that seamless. I can show it to you. Yeah, oh yeah, you see that there's a quick shifter symbol over there. So if it is white color, that means you can shift it up and down. It is there. Down, I don't face much of a problem. Beautiful. And the way this motorcycle handles is also extremely nice, because you have a very wide handlebar. You get a lot of control and you don't have to put too much of pressure on the handlebar. And when you sit, actually I'd like to push a little bit to the back side of the rider seat and sit, because it gives me a feel that I'm actually hugging the tank, and the tank has a little bit of a portion over here. You feel so much locked to the system. That means you have a brilliant riding ergonomics, and when you tuck in, you get that a very sporty riding feel. And somehow I really love this kind of a riding style, because even though it looks naked, but you are not actually riding a naked motorcycle. You are actually riding a bit sporty motorcycle. And I hope there will be someone who is making a windscreen for this motorcycle, because obviously not everyone who look into this motorcycle want to ride in this kind of a wind blast, because just after 80 km/h you'll start feeling the wind blast. So it is there. It's a naked motorcycle, but it's a great ergonomics, no pressure to the hands. So just be on that good ergonomics for the sports riding. That means you put your weight through the thighs to the motorcycle, you'll be able to ride it. Next thing is the braking. Let's talk about it. So this comes with by-brake brakes. That's what I see with the emblem on the brake calipers. And in my personal opinion, the brakes are really bad in the sense really bad. Because maybe when you go for a test ride, you might be able to see that, oh yeah, this motorcycle brakes works good. Maybe Strell is wrong at this point, but I'll tell you, when you start riding it, immediately you won't face that, because it's brake fading. First of all, you'll feel that the brake is okay. In the first point itself, you'll feel that the braking is okay. It's not a Brembo brake. I would really consider to have a Brembo brake on this one, but it's by brake. But the thing is, it keeps fading when you start using it, especially say if you're on the track or if you're riding through the canyons. Then most probably what you will feel is that slowly the braking feedback goes off and it starts become very blunt, and you have to start using the rear brake. So braking is really bad. This was the major issue with the RS457 as well, but Aprilia doesn't take any effort in fixing it. Most of the guys are actually switching to different master cylinders, different braking systems altogether to save their life. But this is the truth. And when it comes to the suspension, I have mixed thoughts about it, because I love the suspension and hate the suspension at the same time. You can see that because when you go on high speeds, or when you are entering a turn, you have good confidence you'll be able to take the corner at any speeds whatever you want. But the thing is, it's a little bumpy suspension. It is onto a stiffer side. If you're riding slow, you'll be able to feel that jumps. So it is not a really good sign that you have that kind of a suspension, because the rebound from the rear suspension is really bad, because it just hits you and throws you off. So suppose you are riding on the road and you are on a corner and you're taking it decently, then say there is a mid corner bump and the motorcycle actually react very bad, so it doesn't stabilize by itself. I have that kind of a feel. So I'll say that I have mixed feelings about the suspension. I love it in a way that it is corner friendly, but I hate at the same time that it's not giving good comfort, especially from the rear, and the rebound is bad. And I didn't face any kind of ground clearance issues. The ground clearance was good. I never got a chance to sit with a pillion, but single rider I'd never faced an issue, so that's good. But heating is there, a little bit of heating is there, not too bad, but heating is there. So let's look at the ownership aspect of the motorcycle. So this motorcycle is actually coming almost 5 lakh on road in Bangalore. So in my eyes, I'll say that it's not a great value for money motorcycle, because considering the minor glitches here and there and the quality issues, I'll say that it's not so great to get a motorcycle like this. Or the other way, let's think the other way. If Aprilia is selling this motorcycle for 5 lakh, you don't expect any kind of issues from the motorcycle. It shouldn't have any plastic issues or build quality issues or engine issues. So that's my take on the pricing part. And motorcycle actually goes for service once in 6,000 kilometers or 6 months, and cost is pretty decent. Over the internet I could find that owners are spending around 4,000 to 5,000 rupees per service, which is good. And the mileage is actually debatable, because it's a great engine. When you're riding, you see that immediately it turns on. There is no lag, it just pulls you like that. So I would say that something from 20 to 22 when you're riding hard, and 25 km per liter when you're actually riding like this on the highway at a speed of 80. But in my eyes, I'll say that if you are going out on the highway, you'll be much easier, much comfortable to ride at 120 to 140. So if you want to consider this motorcycle as a highway motorcycle, there are certain good news and certain bad news. So the good news is definitely it's a touring motorcycle where you get a lot of engine power. If you want to cruise it 120 to 140, definitely you can. Even you can push it to 160. But there's a lot of wind blast, so you have to handle it. You have to find an aftermarket windscreen. But the vibrations are concerning a little bit after that 140, because constant vibration on the handle and some on the foot peg is not a great sign when you are going out. And it's kind of a decent highway bike. Say you will be able to mount your luggage in the rear seat, but not here, because it's a plastic tank cover, so you won't be able to clip on your magnetic tank bags, and it doesn't really good if you keep a tank bag here as well. So luggage is kind of a little bit sorted. And if you are looking forward to buy this motorcycle as your city motorcycle, then I'll say that it's again, I have good news and bad news. The good news is, again, you are actually going to be one of the fastest in your city, and the bad news is definitely the quick shifter is not so good when you are shifting in the lower RPM, so you have to use the clutch. By the way, the clutch feel is light, I don't have any complaints on that, and even the gear shifting is also smooth. So I prefer to use the clutch shifting, clutch lever shifting, than using the clutchless shifting. So when you are in the city, yeah, you'll be having a little bit of trouble with the quick shifter. And also the stiffer suspension will give you a lot of bumpy feel when you ride in bumper to bumper traffic, as well as if you are going through bad patch of road, you will be slowing down a lot on that point. And if you are a track guy, then definitely, yeah, you have a brilliant motorcycle. Say you don't want the RS457 and you have to take it to the track, that's all. A brilliant motorcycle. Now I'll let you know a few things which I found in this motorcycle to be concerning. Of course, there are certain positives with the motorcycle. As I said, the engine and the way it looks. But there are certain negatives as well. The braking is bad. The braking is not as par with what you should expect with this kind of an engine. And second thing, the vibrations are concerning, and there are many owners who are who are the RS owners as well, having a lot of engine issues and going to the service center, and Aprilia not taking care of them well. So after sales is a big hit. You have to check your service center feedbacks. You have to talk to your owners. Even owners are also deceiving nowadays. I really feel bad for that matter. Aprilia is stepping into that kind of a form where Royal Enfield fanboys have left a decade ago. So yeah, it's a sad part that some of the internet reviews and some of the owners' feedback seems to be not so genuine. But the quality issues and all are like unacceptable, be it the engine issues or the wiring issues or the switch issues. Man, it's 5 lakh out of the pocket, and you don't expect anything a grade 2 product from an Italian company. So I really don't feel that. Now let's look at the competitor. Like, we have the Duke 390 and the MT-09. So compared to the Duke 390, this has got good torque, no doubt on that. Good torque as well as good power. But Duke will be able to somehow catch up with the top end of this motorcycle. I don't really say that this can do a 200 km per hour out of the box, but it can easily do a 160 to 180. It's a 2-cylinder, and the feel is much different than what you ride on a Duke. But the Duke has a track history of having a bad engine before. I'll give more importance to the Duke when you are a person who gives more importance to the reliability of the motorcycle, because if you are someone who always go for the proved things in your life, better go for the Duke, no doubt on that. And the Duke quick shifter is good. So equipment wise, I'll say that Duke comes with everything. KTM gives everything to the Duke 390, but on this one I think the quick shifter is accessory, and a few other things are also accessories. So standard, the bike is good, but I'll say that if you keep the engine apart, the Duke 390 is a better buy if you are looking for a long-term motorcycle. And when it comes to the MT-03, I really feel bad for that motorcycle, because I think 2 years back I have ridden that motorcycle in Budh International Circuit. The greatest mistake of that motorcycle, or the launch, was that happened in Budh International Circuit, where we actually rip off your 600 to 1000cc motorcycle, and just 300 actually doesn't do anything on the track. So everyone, including me, told that motorcycle is actually underpowered. So considering that motorcycle with this one, I'll say that MT is nothing. MT is not a monster of torque. It's not of MT when it compared to the Tuono or the RS457. But there are certain other facts. Again, the Japanese reliability and that pin drop silence when it comes to the reliability or the refinement of the engine. So if you are someone who is actually doesn't want to even take a minute risk of having an engine trouble or having a quality issue, Yamaha, man, go for it. That motorcycle is, I think, after the price cut around more than 50,000 cheaper than this motorcycle. So 100% I'll say that, because you don't want to get trouble in the highway when you go out on rides, or when you go for your tours, and even on the track also. Track, at least you can actually tow your vehicle to the pit, and you can deal it with later. But road is not like that. Say if you have an engine problem in the middle of the road, I've seen that. I've seen a couple of times where the 457 engine giving up in the middle of the road. So if you are that kind of a person who always go for the proved things, you will definitely love the MT. It lacks power, it lacks torque, but you'll have peace of mind. So that's my take on this motorcycle. So don't tag me as an Aprilia hater. I don't hate Aprilia, I hate only bad motorcycles. So that's the fact. So I hope this video is helpful for you, and as always, show some love in the form of likes and comments. See you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.